Hey, welcome everyone. This is Tracy Thomas and Greg Moody from Rev Talks, and we're here to talk about what we can do to help you get your free blueprint for 2022 as far as business planning for next year. And we're kind of excited about it. And hopefully everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Greg and I are excited to be here, and we're just ready to make sure you guys get everything set in place for 2022. Greg, any information you want to put out here before we get started?
Well, and you're going to refer to the article that you just read in Harvard Business Review, but what we really work with all of our people, all of our clients, both on the online marketing side, but on our consulting side, and everybody with is to have a big planning session or a big thought process going through for the end of 2021 or the end of any year really, so that they're going on to 2022. And what's really kind of mind-boggling is that a lot of people are not planning, a lot of business owners are not planning for 2022, and it's crazy because 2022 is going to be unlike 2019 or 2021 in every conceivable way. 2021 was this post-pandemic crazy kind of vaccine change, all this kind of stuff, post election, all this stuff was happening, and 2022 is going to be so different from 2021 that you've got to be ready for it, and you can't be ready for it in January. It's the height of madness to be thinking about your 2022 at the beginning of the year. You've got to plan this it's the end of November right now as we're talking after Thanksgiving. You've got to at least be planning this in December for a big launch in January. And it's got to happen now so that hopefully you guys have a good holiday season. You don't have to think about it
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah. Great talking points there. Greg, we talked about last time, we talked about, what they can perceive, what we see coming in 2022 on the last podcast. And, with keeping that in mind, everybody, for all listeners out there, it's really important that what Greg was just saying, the identifying what you need to do for next year is important. Where, from Harvard Business Reviews to Forbes to all these different companies out there, you're reading, they do all the research on this, and it's accurate data. And what they're showing is 87% of small businesses are not prepared for the following year with a plan. That means 87% of you out there right now don't actually have a plan. You're doing business the same way you did it last year. You've always been in business. Some of you are very successful at what you do. You're all successful in some way, correct? But what are you doing? What you can do by having a plan in place, it can really help your profit and growth margins just grow to, just blow up basically in the following year. Especially, I mean, look at the companies right now around the world. Which companies grew during the pandemic, during COVID, over the last couple of years? And these aren't just companies that are big oil companies, out there that everybody's talking about right now currently, in the news. But these are small companies that were tiny companies that just grew, just simply because they're planning. They had a vision of what they could do to get ahead during COVID and not take advantage of people, not take advantage of the pandemic, but actually help people out. People need more help than ever before during the pandemic, and the people that jumped on it, and we're one of those companies that jumped on that because we want to help people out as much as we can across the business industries. So, Greg, anything you want to add, just jump in.
Well,
I'm super excited about this, goal setting for 2022 here.
Well, and I think a big misconception that people had in 2020 is that the companies that were successful were the ones that were lucky. Like Amazon was really fortunate because people started ordering more things online because they couldn't go to stores. Or companies that started maybe they started ghost kitchens and they now they had no overhead and they could do restaurants. Or companies that what Apple was really successful in 2020 because now people had to buy more computers because they had to do a lot of video conferencing like what we're doing now to create the podcast. That is only part of that's only a small fraction of the companies. Granted, those companies were really successful, but the companies that we're talking about are the ones that pivoted and created new opportunities, and also companies that maybe wouldn't normally be successful in such a market, but they thought about what they needed to do, and they made a plan for the marketing, sales, and process that they needed to have during the pandemic. And then as things changed and moved and are still changing and moving, they continue to have a different plan for the way that marketing sales work. For example, online marketing became exploded, and it became very different during the pandemic. Our our PowerPoint went a little different there. Okay, but marketing and sales became I think Facebook traffic went up 641% at one point, and then it went down a little bit, and then AdWords traffic went up and down, and that's what we helped a lot of our clients become very, very successful. And some of our clients in businesses like we have a lot of clients in the martial arts business, which you would think would do much worse during something like a stay-at-home lockdown order. We had companies double and triple their business, and even more percentage of their net profit during the pandemic. So the planning is really critical, and knowing what's coming up and knowing what you're gonna do next and executing it is what's going to make a big difference in the next year. And it's going to be a lot different in 2022. There's probably no year that's going to be better for opportunity than 2022 than we've seen in just years and years. But it's going to be very different than 2020 and 2019 and 2018 has ever been.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. And you're either on the bandwagon or you're not. And you guys, everybody here has the capability of doing this. Let's talk real quick. Let's cover number one, profit and growth, with productivity. What are some things you do productivity wise?
Tell everybody. I
Yeah.
apologize for interrupting you there,
Okay.
but what we forgot to tell everybody is, and we usually mention at the beginning and at the end here, but what we want everybody to do, and you can see at the link below, is schedule a time with us so we can help you with this. We're going to go through a summary today, but what we want to do is spend 20 minutes or so, maybe 30 minutes with you individually and work on a blueprint for you for 2022. We're going to go through the high level ideas here, and you can do some of this yourself, but we're going to work with you individually one-on-one and spend a little bit of time, and this time is really valuable for you, but also time that we're taking away from our regular schedule, that we're going to set up a blueprint for you for the next year. So make sure you schedule a time with us while we're talking about this and make some notes.
Yeah, the blueprint's going to be outstanding. You're going to love it. So, jump on that, click on that link, and schedule something, and schedule a time as soon as you can. We will fill up, and we're only a few more weeks here before the end of the year for Christmas, so holidays. So jump on that. But let's talk really quickly the profit and growth. With productivity, what you can do productively do to really raise the profit and growth margins within your company. And a lot of people say, what really is business planning for the next year? What does it entail? And for everybody, it's different. Everybody on here right now, whether you're you could be a doctor's office, a law firm, a chiropractor, a martial arts school, a plumber, an electrical engineer, with a company that's servicing all these buildings that are, the rise of all this construction that's going on right now that has a shortage of everything. But you guys, it doesn't really matter what you're doing. You're going to have a plan. What does that plan look like? And, is the plan really to grow? What is the growth factor going to look like for you? We hear people saying right now that I'm happy where I'm at, and Greg, you can jump in anytime, like I said, but the common misconception right now is, our companies have grown so much. I just recently talked to somebody who was doing doors and windows for homes, and this guy has grown 10 times just in the last 2 years. Because of the pandemic, everybody's doing these home remodeling. This business is going really good. The problem we're going to see right now, this is what the crystal ball is going to tell us. It's going to prove to be right. 2022 is going to be very good for the people that planned. Those people that have taken their business to here because they've done nothing different other than that they provide a service to people. In 2022, when the market starts to go back a little bit, what you're going to see is your company's, you're going to go down. You're going to have less clients calling you, less clients being able to find you. Okay. And you need to be prepared for that, because what's happening right now is we open up the world right now. More people are traveling. We saw it this Thanksgiving. The numbers are up there again for the airlines. We see the traveling. Everybody's back to traveling now. Soon people are going to be pulling away from that service industry thing to where they're staying home. So just using deck companies and plumbers, electrical, guys that do windows and doors, that kind of stuff. That's something you want to keep in mind right now. And then we could talk a little bit about addressing some of the other ones as well. But more and more people are going to be traveling around now. So what are your plans? Are you marketing online? What are you doing?
And that's a great example. So there's some companies that do the example we gave about the pandemic times made certain companies explode because of the pandemic. And some companies have backlogs for decking companies, and they got a lot of, they weren't taking advantage of people, but it was very profitable for them because people were staying at home and remodeling their houses and putting money back into their houses. But those companies can make a choice. They can choose to, well, I'm going to weather that time, make as much money as I can, but then I know I'm going to shrink. Or they can do the right planning and figure out how they're going to take the next step to grow their company to continue the growth into
Yeah, absolutely. Keep in front of them. Yeah, keep in
2020.
front of them.
And there's a lot of ways to do that, to continue adjusting the way their business is going so that they can be very, very healthy in the future. So that's one option. The other option is companies that maybe shrunk during that time. How do they recover and grow and thrive? That's if you're coming out of this going, man, I'm glad I survived. That's a different type of plan, and it's very straightforward how you can grow and be successful. But what can happen though is, if you're one of those survivors, you can say, well, I'm just going to survive and hopefully grow a little bit at a time. That's not a very good plan either. You got to
No,
be
that's treading water.
yeah, and you're going to end up treading water enough, and then maybe your PPP money or your loan money or whatever runs out, and then you just kind of fall off the cliff. That's not what we want for you either. You've got to be productive and turn this into a big growth period as well. So there's a lot of different scenarios that may be coming up, and we've got to be ready for this as you hit 2022 hard.
Yeah. And Greg, I think we should touch bases on the dance, the gymnastics, and the martial arts schools that did phenomenal during this time. Now, think about this, everybody that's listening in. If you're not a martial arts, dancer, gymnastics place, think of this now. These are people that rely on 100% of their income to come walking through that door. They do online marketing, but they have to do sales. They teach classes at a facility that was closed down. I mean,
Mhm.
that and to think about what they're doing. Our schools have just grown, I mean, just unbelievable during the pandemic because of the virtual classes that we had. And it opened up a source of income that we never knew we could have before. And it's still there. It's going to be there for the next 10 years, 15, 20 years, forever. So I think that, Greg, that's a great point, because I think that people can understand that, hey, look, we know that some of you listening in right now, hope is all you have to hang on to. But it's not just hope. You actually have to have a plan. Okay, and we're here to help you. The plan, that free blueprint 2022. Greg and I were talking about, say that fast, free blueprint for 2022 is here. It's going to help you out because there's actual steps you can take, and it goes from getting new clients with the marketing, how your sales, your whole buying funnel and processes work. Are you automated? This
Yeah,
doesn't have to be a big expense.
and we notice with people like we work closely with some companies in the investment financial field, and the ones that kept their clients, and rather than jumping off the cliff and selling off all their investments, the ones that kept them, they were very successful. They added a lot of value to their business. The people in the medical and helping professionals field, the ones that kept their clients. Now it's a time to grow with that experience, where now you can keep your patients and clients and then turn it into something new for the future. So this is a really important time to be setting up the your plan for what's going to happen in 2022. Setting up the marketing and the sales. The marketing is what's really important right now. You've got to have everything in line so that when you're launching, the first of the year, that all the marketing's laid out, that January, February, March, and then beyond is set up. And if you're in the most kind of businesses, January ends up being really big. In some retail businesses, January's a trough, but for most of the businesses we work with, January is the time that people renew and start new activities, whether that's medical professionals, whether that's going to be people in service businesses. That's usually a time where you've got to have marketing set up. And if that ends up being a trough in your business historically, if you're in a retail business that, Christmas is a big sales time, then we need to make sure that we set up so that you have some, it isn't all your business isn't gone during the first quarter of the year either.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the parts that some of the business owners, what you just mentioned, that last latter part there, is that creative, going into the think taking, doing that creative planning, where can you generate different revenue streams? Are you taking, I don't want to say taking advantage of, are you using all your tools and resources that you have currently right now at your disposal? And, how many of you are wearing all those different hats? So many small businesses, they wear all the different hats, I was talking to a small business owner just the other day, and during the pandemic, he actually grew. He had 5 employees at 15 employees now, so it's good growth for what he feels is good growth for himself. And he's a pizza place, pizza delivery. So just amazing how much he's grew because of the pizza delivery service. So, but he saw this scheduling and setting certain schedules, good pizzas delivered. He just went out there, and there's not too many pizza places doing this. So it's just amazing what he did. So that's the type of thing, though, we can work with companies like that. If you're interested in really, like Greg mentioned earlier, that free blueprint, it's so important because, Greg, maybe we talk a little bit about exactly what it is. It's a little bit of marketing. Okay, it's a little bit about planning. In every industry, you have just about every single industry we're talking about. I don't care if it's gymnastics, chiropractors, massage therapy, all that kind of stuff. Health, gyms, weightlifting, whatever it is, dance, that kind of stuff. It's all kind of, you have something that's always consistently the same thing every month. If you say March, you already know as a business owner, this is what I always do in March. This is what's been successful. Now, if you plan accordingly to what's happened now, and you see what's happening, and you look what's the trends are coming, you might be able to adjust that next year in 2022 and make March a better, stronger year than whatever it was before. And we're not talking like, extra $1,000. We're talking like double or tripling your company's revenue streams each month right now during this time, when people think that it's doom and gloom, and it's not.
Yeah, and a lot of times the way that we can help is by tweaking or changing just a few little things. What we notice is, on the sales side, you mentioned marketing, but on the sales side, what happens is we see that a lot of companies are really happy with what we would interpret as a really really low closing rate. You've got 100 people coming in the door, and maybe only 20 people are buying your product, and that may or may not be a good closing rate. We'd have to look and see, but that can sometimes be doubled. What happens if you can double your closing rate, or double the sales rate that you have, or make sure that they buy a higher dollar amount than what they were going to buy before? Those are things that we can look at and then determine whether or not we can make a big change. And can be small tweaks and not cost you any money. And if you can change the closing rate, or change how much people buy, or change how effective your marketing is, and double that, and you double a couple things, that quadruples your effectiveness. That needs to be figured out here towards the end of the year, so that we can have a really good 2022. So there's really multiple things that we're talking about here. Number one is, are there changes that can be made in your current process? Number two, are there things in 2022 that you're missing, that you may not be thinking of, that need to be thought of before you launch this next year and get going? That's what we're really really good at, is figuring out what needs to happen for 2022 that you might be missing. And that can be really really scary if you miss some things that are,
Yeah.
coming down the road.
Yeah, and I like what Greg was talking about, the sales and your pipeline and how it all works, and so if you're listening, all listeners are listening right now, just keep in mind when Greg was talking, it's simplicity over complexity. This isn't a complex thing. This is something that, you just don't know what you don't know. When you look at something and it's a map, and you said, oh, I can follow this map. I go from 1 to 2, position 3 to position 4. You just follow along. It's very simplistic in nature, and it's something that everybody can do out there. So, I'm going to just bring up a lawn service company, working with a lawn service company, and it's just absolutely amazing how much they grew over the last 6 months when we were working with them. And interesting enough, their biggest thing is they were good at selling. They could sell just about everybody that did, everybody came to them. They hadn't really know marketing. Implement some marketing for them, implement some sales strategies for them. And, that 20 to 30% that Greg was talking about, which some people they're happy with that number. And it's just not a good number. It's a number. Just imagine doubling that number. in some cases, we've seen some companies that are just at 75 and 80% close rates, which is just astronomically great. I mean, it's awesome. But just imagine what that would do right now. Think about the number of sales you do in your business right now at 20%. And if you were to double it only at 40%, which is still not a good number, by the way. Okay. What would happen to your business right now by doubling that in sales? And then get into the enhanced operations, streamlining your business, which is with this lawn service I was talking about. Do you have a follow-up system? Are you reaching out to them? Okay. Our lawn service company reached out to us, and it was an extra $700, $800. I don't remember the dollar amount to, fertilize. Okay. Then they want to treat for bugs. Yes, 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 yes. I'm always saying yes to whatever they want to do. I just say yes, because they do a great job. So anytime they send an email, I guarantee they're going to get a yes from us. Okay. But how many other companies aren't sending the emails? How many companies aren't sending the text messaging? How many aren't doing the marketing that Greg was talking about earlier? And this isn't belittling anybody that's on this call right now. If you don't know it, you just don't know. Once you get an education on this, it's just so easy to move forward. But Greg, it looks like you have something to say.
It's really in almost every case that we talk to somebody when they do the blueprint with us, we're going to find 2 or 3 things. We're not going to we don't want you to redo your entire business. But what we can find is 1 or 2 or maybe 3 things. And if each of those things can make a 50% increase in one little spot in your business, that makes a massive difference. We've helped people with it, and it's different for every business. That's why we want to work with you individually. It might be something in the way that your phone gets answered that may change, make a 50% increase, or double the closing rate of which you get appointments to show up, or that you get people booking lawn service if it's a lawn service that you have, or it may be something in the way that they how much business they book if you're doing you're in pet grooming, and they maybe take one service, and maybe there'd be an easy way to present that so that they'd like to do 3 or 4 services. And a lot of times we just don't do a really great job of explaining the value of the other services that we have, and that might make a 50% increase or a 100% increase in the amount of service that we had. There's 1 or 2 or 3 things that we'd want you to fix first, and then we can change things over time. It's not just about spending a lot more money on marketing, although sometimes making sure that your marketing goes in the right place so that you do a good job, or making sure that your website's correct so that it's doing a good job, and that those other things are in place so that you can launch 2022 and be really, really happy and successful. That's what we really want you to have, is we want people that we work with to be happy and successful and have really profitable businesses, because business should be value added for you. It should be something that you get a lot out of, and that you are living a good lifestyle from, not something that you struggle with all the time, and that every month it's a struggle to it's a pain to
Pay the
live.
bills.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to take care of
Yeah.
things.
And Greg, what you just said is invaluable. I mean, it really is, because you think about it, you're saying that it's simple, it's simplicity over the complexity thing. But the second thing is that, if you take these 1 or 2 things, and you just run with them. And the problem is, though, is a lot of small businesses have a hard time with sales or marketing, or it's too salesy. Think of this, Greg. You and I have heard this, if not hundreds of times. I mean, literally hundreds of times in the last year. We have been told over and over, we're so thankful because our customers were so loyal. Are so loyal, so loyal, so loyal. Your loyal customers are loyal for a reason. They believe in your product and service. They believe in you. You might be an influencer in the industry, but either way, they believe in you. But what you're not doing is offering them more. I don't look at my lawn service company and say, oh, here they are selling me again. Okay, I'm looking at, man, my yard's going to be the greenest one out there. It's protected the best. It's got this. So I tend to buy as much as I can from them because I want to. And if I didn't want it, I just wouldn't buy that service that time. But so far, I've bought every one. I buy everything they send us to us in an email. So what I think we need to do, Greg, is I think we need to explain to them it's okay. It's okay to market. It's okay to email with text. That's marketing. It's okay to sell somebody another product. They might have bought your product or your service, whatever that is, whatever product service A is. But have you moved them to B and C and D? And where's the value in that? And sometimes And Greg, people listening here, we've said it before, you got this PhD in psychology, people don't understand. I think maybe we need to talk about this a little bit because this is important, guys. This is one of the most important things. You cannot sell to someone else. You cannot market to someone else unless you believe in it. Do you believe there's added value for what you have to offer? And Greg, I'm gonna let you take over from there because they can't convince their customers because they can't convince themselves first.
Yeah, and that's a big thing that we have to we want to help you with is making sure that you understand from internally that how much value you give to your clients. And one thing that always kills us, and it's kind of funny. And you mentioned a lawn service and lots of businesses like that. How many times for your business do they buy products from you, but they also end up buying from somebody else that sells the same product just because you haven't been really good at communicating that you offer it. For example, in a lawn service, you use them for cutting your grass and fertilizing your lawn, but maybe you don't use them for trimming your trees. You use somebody else. Why? Because they never communicated that they also trim trees and they also do those other products. Just because we maybe didn't communicate, we didn't want to be pushy. Or that's so common when we talk to our clients is, well, I don't want to be pushy with my clients because they might push back and say, well, I don't want a pushy salesperson talking to us. It's how you communicate and the way that you communicate that's really important. And there's a way to communicate that's pushy and there's a way to communicate that's caring and interested, and that's what we want to help you with so that you can do it in such a way that because frankly, when we're offering the blueprint to you guys, it's because we care and we're very interested, and this is what we love to do. We love to help businesses do a better job. Sometimes that means that you guys will work with us on some of the other work that we do with you, with your marketing and with your sales and helping work with your business and grow. And that means you'll work with us more. And sometimes that means you won't, and that you'll find some other options for yourselves. That's fine. We just want to make sure that we can help you get going with the blueprint that we're talking about now.
Yeah, and the last thing I think I'm gonna finish with is number 5. You hit the head on the nail again, or nail on the head again, by talking about the communication. And but customer engagement right now more than ever before, people are looking for that personal touch. And there's a lot of we don't know what the data is right now, but 5 years from now, when they go back and research this whole COVID thing and all the stuff at home, I think what we're going to find out is people weren't in touch with people. They weren't around their family and friends because they weren't traveling. They were remodeling. They were cooking more at home. They were doing everything at home. So I think with businesses right now, people tend to want to talk. I hear small business owners saying, hey, look, the customer wants to keep me on the phone for 20 minutes now. Whereas before, people just call and say, hey, I want this. Now they just want to talk. Well, they're not talking to anybody else. They've been stuck at home for 2 years. So I think that communication and the customer engagement is really, really important. And the customer engagement can be, think of this, it can be done personally, FaceTime, one-on-one. It can be done over the phone. It can be done via text. It can done a lot of different ways. The old school, I mean, Greg and I, we're in our 50s, and we're thinking, as time changes, we have to change, right? I mean, years ago, it was like come in and shake hands and you meet people. Nowadays, people just want social media. How many of you business owners right here, right now, get private messages via social Facebook? And you're like, I wish they would just call me. Okay. I wish they'd text me. No, you don't wish that, because that's a whole demographic market that you're going to miss then. Those people messaging you on Facebook, they're there for a reason. Let them use that platform. But I'm going to talk to you about that because the customer engagement right now, what we're seeing is they're controlling, you can contact us only this way, but the customers are growing to this. So how much of the market are you missing because you're not allowing people to engage you on other platforms?
Well, and that's what we help you with too, is understanding which platforms to talk to people in and which platforms you might be using up time that you shouldn't use time up in. And you doing that effectively and efficiently. It may not be worth your time to post 25 times a day on Facebook, but it may be worth your time to do some Facebook marketing and post at appropriate time when you're blogging on your website and making sure you're posting. So how to do that, I think, could be very, very overwhelming a lot of times for business owners, and which ways, how to set up all these things and how to use it appropriately. So you're really hitting that nail on the head, as you said a minute ago, Tracy. And what that's what we want to help you with is how to do that right. And I think sometimes business owners, especially guys like us that may be in our 50s or older, maybe shut down a little bit and say, well, gee, I just want to deal with the way that I'm used to. And you can't. You just don't have that option anymore. You've got to be able to expand, to communicate with people in multiple different ways, and also understand how to do that in an effective, efficient way, use automation in the right way, not over automate and just, we have a lot of people that they want to use some software and they just email out to everybody and they never pay attention to anything else. Well, email only is 20% deliverable. You need to use it, but it's not the only method to use. So we've got to be able to communicate the right way and help you with that. And that's what we're really good at helping you with. So we look forward to talking to you when you schedule a time with us, and we'll take 20, maybe 30 minutes of your time, and about that much of all our time is all we're really gonna block off for you. So make sure when you schedule that time that you show up. We want to make sure that you're on time, and we'll send you some automated reminders to be there when you schedule time with us.
Yeah, so just reach out, fill out the link below, click on the link before, fill it out, and schedule your free blueprint for 2022. And we look forward to seeing you guys next week, next Monday's Rev Talks podcast. You guys take care.
All right, everybody. We'll see you later.